Hello, welcome to the Lone Show. I'm your host, John Milone. In this episode, I have not brought on regulars because they're in the middle of doing recording or something, as we always do for the Team Sketch brand. But as for our guest, she's from California, and she is an allergy mast cell wellness coach. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Cindy Costley.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I'm super excited for today's talk.
Anytime. So, how's life?
Life is great. I am feeling very blessed to have been on the journey that I'm on, and I'm just looking forward to the next few years of my life for sure, compared to what I've been through.
That's great. Have you been up to much recently?
I am just loving life with my husband. We spent a lot of time on the harbor on our boat and just getting outside, although it's been a little bit chilly. So I'm really looking forward to the sunshine coming up. But life is good. Lots of family time and friendships and getting my business going and just enjoying every day in the moment. That's what I do.
That's great. Now, tell me more about what you do.
I am an allergy and mast cell wellness coach. So I work with individuals to help them look at the underlying answers behind their allergies. My experience and my expertise has shown that allergic reactions are actually our body's way of saying, hello, listen to me. I need you to heal something. So I work with clients to help them figure out exactly what their body is trying to tell them and heal it so that they can minimize or eliminate their allergic reactions altogether.
Hmm, okay, that's interesting. And what kind of process do you go through?
Well, every individual is very unique, as you can imagine. When first we start with an assessment and a discussion around their goals and their desires. And then we pause for a moment, kind of look at what do you want to achieve in life? What do you want your life to look like? For me, I always thought I was just kind of the girl that was allergic to the world. And that was that was just what I was going to be, right? That's just what my life was going to be like forever until I learned that I could actually heal this. So I really help my clients look at what do they want. So then we can go back and say, okay, this is what you want. Now this is where we're at. And then we take steps forward to really learn to listen to our body and to see exactly what it's trying to tell us.
Hmm, okay. And what kind of questions do your patients most commonly ask you?
Most often it's, why is this happening to me? Allergic reactions can be very random. Sometimes we're allergic to certain foods and other times they're not. Like they can eat something one day and they can't eat it, 2 weeks later, they have a reaction. So they're really, when it comes to allergies in the body, there's a lot of misunderstanding and puzzled, right? Just puzzled, like, what is happening? How do I heal this? And is it really healable? Because if you talked, for instance, I have quote unquote what's called a mast cell activation syndrome, which is a mast cell disorder. And if you look at the Western world, they say that there is no cure. However, I am asymptomatic from it. And so the most of the questions are, how did you do it? And is this possible for me? Can I actually heal my allergic reactions and manage them to where I can have my life back and thrive again? Because allergies can take you down. They are, definitely disrupting of one's life. And so we look at how do we manage them so that we can then heal the underlying reasons they're there in the first place.
Okay, great. Now, is the work you do mostly in person, or can you do this work remotely as well?
Everything is actually done remote. So I have a membership online where clients can join a membership and we meet every other week. And I send lots of information. And they also have access to a weekly set of curriculum. So every week they're given new information and new steps to put in place in their life to heal. And then we meet live every other week as well. That's one aspect, and that's all online. And we're getting ready to come out with an app in the next couple months. I'm super excited about that. And then those that hire me individually, they're part of a membership as well. And then we also work one-on-one to really dive deep and get a lot more personal in terms of what's causing their allergic reactions.
All right, that's nice. Okay, so tell me more about this app that you're working on. Is it similar to how what you're doing right now?
Yes, it's going to be a part. It's all the same thing that we're doing. It's just right now you have to log in online to access the community and access all the curriculum and the webinars. And the app will allow people to do it directly through an app as opposed to having to go to their computer and log in. So it's the same information and the same access. It's just easier access for individuals.
Okay, fabulous. What do you like about doing what you do?
Oh, that's such a great question. I love that I get to help others heal. Just a little bit of background on myself. At age 15, I suddenly became allergic to the world, literally all animal life, most plant life, most foods, and most chemicals. And I spent 34 years just going from one doctor to another, having one allergic reaction after another, putting a band-aid on it, fixing the symptoms, as opposed to looking at the underlying answers behind why I was having all these allergic reactions in the first place. And I actually found out that it was all trauma based. So I had a very serious molestation at age 6, and then another one at age 14 by a group of boys, and I was raped at age 15. And my body basically said, I'm going to protect you from the world by making you allergic to the world. And so it took me 34 years to tie those two together. So what I love is that I get to help people heal far before they get to the point that I was, where my body was shutting down. And I knew I was dying about 8 years ago when all of this happened. And so I get to work with clients and help them see that there are answers, there are solutions. You don't have to suffer for the rest of your life, but we do need to heal. I actually say get to heal, because even though it's hard, it was one of the hardest processes I've ever been through. It was so rewarding because I'm free now. I'm free from all that trauma. I'm free from all those allergic reactions. And I'm a completely different person in a world where they say what I have has no cure. And I just need to take all these medications to keep my symptoms as minimized as possible. And I don't do any of that anymore. So getting to help people in that same manner is really, really rewarding for me.
That's great. Now, were there any of the high and low points that really stand out when working as a mast cell wellness coach?
Yes, there are, when I'm working with these individuals, we're helping them. I'm helping them break through some of the biggest traumas and challenges in their life. And I feel that with them. Right. And it brings me back to my own healing journey where I suffered tremendously healing the reasons that I have these allergic reactions in the first place. So it's rewarding in that I get to encourage them and support them and remind them that they have this, and help them find their strength. And it's hard because, I really work with those individuals on some of the hardest things they'll ever go through in their life. So we are a team, and I'm happy to support that. And I am grateful, but it's not always easy.
Okay, excellent. Now, how do people manage their allergic reactions by listening to their body?
So there are several techniques that I teach. One of them is muscle testing. Our bodies will tell us everything that we need to know. And for one, an allergic reaction is actually just your body saying, hello, listen to me. I'm speaking to you, and calling out saying, please heal me. And so we sit down and I teach them, first of all, meditation and how to listen to what their body's trying to tell them. And then also techniques and tools to figure out, is this a physical allergic reaction? And if so, how do I manage it? Is it an emotional allergic reaction? Because our emotions can cause a lot of allergic reactions. Or is this a energetic allergic reaction? And so I teach my clients how to recognize those aspects of their reactions, and then what to do to manage it besides just grabbing a pill. Now, there are always time and a place for medications. I'm not anti-medication. I just want to help my clients to minimize the amount of medications they take and maximize the tools that their own body has and that they have at their own exposure to manage their allergic reactions themselves.
Okay, that's actually quite clever. I never thought of it that way. Hmm. Genius. Absolutely genius.
I love it.
Oh, yes.
Our bodies are genius. That is for sure. Our bodies are incredibly intelligent. They know everything we need. It's just learning how to listen to it.
Oh, yes. Now, what's the relationship between trauma, stress, and allergic reactions?
So when we undergo trauma, our bodies, there's a lot of different connections there, but in kind of a layman's terms, our sympathetic nervous system will create cortisol, right? So it'll release cortisol as a fight or flight reaction over time. And cortisol actually minimizes histamines, right? So it actually can reduce histamine reaction in the body. But over time, our bodies get, when we have one allergic reaction after another, our bodies get so worn out that we're not actually able to release the amount of cortisol. So for instance, 8 years ago when I was so sick, my body was only producing cortisol at 0.6%. And once you stop producing cortisol, you can no longer start reproducing it. And you have to go on a synthetic cortisol that most people with allergic reactions would not be able to tolerate. So my doctor made it very clear, you will not be able to tolerate this synthetic cortisol. So I had to nap every 4 hours for 7 or so months. And that was just to give my body the break it needed to start purposing and rebuilding the cortisol in my body, which would then help with some of the allergic reactions. So that's one aspect. The fight or flight process that we go through really triggers a lot of allergic reactions in the body. So also when we undergo trauma, so for instance, myself at 14, it was a very good family friend that was kind of the lead in this group molestation. I never said a word, a soul to anybody. I never said one word to anybody until 34 years later when all of this came to a head because I was protecting him. So all of those emotions were still there. Even though I was happy, I was joyful, I felt like I had actually gotten away unscathed from the traumas. But the
Hmm.
reality is my body held all that trauma inside and all those emotions were like trapped inside my body causing havoc. And so when we hold emotions in, when we hold trauma in and we don't heal it, we're actually creating a bigger issue. And everybody's body is different. So when some people, when they undergo that kind of trauma, they end up, having very emotional issues where they're, dealing with depression and anxiety and, looking at covering it up with drugs and alcohol, right? There's different forms of how people handle trauma. For my body and for many people that have allergic reactions that suffer from chronic allergic reactions or a mast cell disorder, our body's way of handling that trauma is by protecting us and putting up that wall and basically saying that nothing is safe to keep you away from everything. So it's a automatic response in your body to try to protect you. And this often happens when you have trauma before the age of 7. Your body will create a mechanism to protect you. And for me, the way it did protected me is through these massive allergic reactions. And that's the same case for many people that suffer from chronic or sudden onset allergic reactions. So if you have a very stressful situation that happens in your life, or something is going on and then all of a sudden you became allergic to foods or to the environment around you, that could be triggering it. It could be from the stressful situation. Oftentimes, too, things that trigger allergic reactions or a mast cell disorder are like being, around mold. So there's physical triggers, there's emotional triggers, and then there's also energetic triggers that we have to really get to understand which one we're going through and what our body needs with each allergic reaction in order to manage them.
Hmm. Okay. Excellent. Now, if someone is somewhat about to have an allergic reaction, how would you tell before the allergic reaction is about to kick off?
Well, that's one of the tricky things about allergic reactions is we often don't notice it until it's manifesting, right? So people that feel a lot of their emotions and that handle trauma more emotionally, they feel it and they can kind of get on top of it a little bit before it gets too bad. But with allergic reactions, like for me, and the same is true for many of my clients, it's suddenly there. And it's really because I never learned how to feel my emotions. I could feel emotions when it came to other people, but for my own pain, I should learn to shove those in. So shove all the anger, all the sadness, all the frustration, all the worry. I just shoved it in and went through my life happy. And so it would manifest through a rash. And that's for me how most of my allergies manifested was through a rash. For many people, it's rashes or it's in the stomach. So, severe stomach pain. And you have to know your body and what it feels like. So the one thing I will say though is everything starts mildly, and then if we get on top of it quickly, when we listen to our body and we manage it, we can curtail it from getting really bad. It's just difficult to do that sometimes when you're suddenly feeling that allergic reaction come on, and then most people panic. Oh no, here it comes. I'm going to, I'm going to hurt. I'm going to be in pain. I'm going to, what did I eat? What did I go walk around? And they start overthinking it. And that just creates more of a kind of a fallout of reactions because they're thinking more about it. And the more you think about it, the more you're actually manifesting it. So our minds are very, very powerful. And so what I
Okay.
do is I help clients learn and trust that they're safe in this world and retrain their brain to think differently so that they're not constantly in this place of fight or flight.
Hmm. Okay. Great. So, whereabouts in California is your profession based?
I work out of the home. I am in Oxnard, California. And like I said, everything is done via Zoom and online. So I don't actually see clients physically here. I have a few that I see once in a while, but my main clientele is all done online, including the membership as well as the one on one consultations.
Okay. And is doing this mainly remotely something you originally want to do, or was it something due to a certain circumstance that has forced you to stay at home for the last 3, 5, 9 months due to you know what?
Dude, you know what? It's a combination. I started it because I was still having my own allergic reactions. And so while I was going through treatment, I needed to stay at home. And so that's how I began to build my business. Now I still actually do treatments, but I'm back out in the world. And so I'm traveling. I went to Texas last week and I'm doing a lot more physical activity outside of the home. But for the longest time, long before you know what, I was actually already being isolated in my house because of my own healing journey.
Okay, that's nice. So, uh, as, so outside of your work, do you ever travel from time to time, go on vacation or holiday somewhere?
Well, I just went to Texas and that was very fun. My brother, sister, and I, and our spouses all went to help a family member. We had a great time. I love to go. Lake Powell is a place that we used to go prior to me getting very ill. We would go every few years and do a houseboat on Lake Powell. My husband and I went to Hawaii last June. So that was really an interesting trip because it was the first time I was able to be in humid weather and I thrived and did fabulous. So all the work that I've done to desensitize my body to the allergic reactions. Basically what happened is when you undergo trauma, for me and a lot of my clients, anything that's in your environment, anything you smell, anything you see, anything you feel becomes a trigger and a signal to your body that it's not safe. So I had become allergic to everything in my surroundings for all of my traumas, including what was the foods that were in my digestive system. So what we do is help clients desensitize their body one at a time to these allergic reactions. And that's not, I don't actually do that myself. That's a doctor that we work with and my clients work with to go through this desensitization process.
Hmm.
And so
Okay,
I was able to go to Hawaii and have a really great time and thrive for the first time in many, 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 many years. It was so beautiful.
great. Now, if you could live literally anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. I would say Ireland or Hawaii. I love Hawaii. I want to live half my life in Hawaii. That's my dream, is to live the winter time in Hawaii and the summertime out here in California. But I would also really love Ireland, and I've spent time in Italy as well and absolutely loved Italy, although I don't speak Italian and that made it very difficult to communicate, especially with food allergies. We went there about 9, 10 years ago. So that was a little bit tougher, but there's a lot of great places I still am yet to explore and looking forward to. So my answer might change in a year.
Okay, that's nice. Now, is there anywhere around the world that you want to go on holiday or vacation, but you just haven't yet?
Yes, I am very excited to travel to Europe. We have some exchange students that lived with us they came every summer for about 7 years from France. And they have, continued to invite us back to their territory and their home. And they're great friends with our kids. I call them my summertime kids. And I can't wait to get back to France to see Pierre and Quentin. And my husband and I really want to plan that in the next year or two.
Okay. And whereabouts in France is that?
I don't know exactly where in France I live. I know one of them is in Paris and the other one is more up in the mountains. I don't know the name, but they are on the opposite. They both live on the opposite ends of France, and they came down. They didn't know each other prior to becoming exchange students with my sister and I, but they became really good friends. And now they come back, like I said, whenever they can. They did it for 7 years straight and then came back, now still come back to visit once in a while, and they keep telling us it's time for us to go there. And I agree.
Okay, that's nice. What is your favorite season?
My favorite season is the summer. I love getting out on our boat. I love whale watching. So, spring and summer, I just love the heat. I am a bathing suit, hat, be out on the water kind of girl, whether I'm water skiing or out on the ocean, whale watching or going to the islands. That's my happy place for sure.
Okay, great. What was the strangest dream you've had?
Ooh, I have a lot of strange dreams. I can tell you that much. I have a lot of odd dreams of people that I haven't seen since I was a child. And I don't know if it's my healing journey or what, but I have a lot of dreams of people that just out of nowhere come back into my memory. And we spend all this time together. And I don't really remember all the details of my dreams. I just wake up knowing who I've spent my time with in my dreams. So I can't really give you a very, specific layout of what the dream is about. But I wake up, even this morning, I woke up with feeling like I had spent time with a childhood friend that I haven't seen in probably 30 years. And it was very fun. And I woke up smiling and giggly and feeling like we had a great time, like we were actually together. It was very strange, but I have not talked to her, heard from her, or seen her in over 30 years.
All right, that's cool. That's cool. What was the most stressful situation that you've been in?
Ooh, when my daughter, after I started my healing journey, I became well. I was about a year into my treatments and I was doing really, really well. And I decided to travel and go visit my daughter. And her son was about to turn 6. And I kept saying, Maverick, I can't believe you're going to be 6. And the next day, coming back from the trip, the day after I got back, I broke out in a very bad rash, the worst I've ever had, all over my body. And it took us 3 months to realize that it was my body pushing out a trauma from when I was 6 years old. So I had completely suppressed this trauma. Once I started remembering the trauma, I had physical manifestation of it. So he had yanked my arm, he had injured my arm, and I woke up with bruises all over my arm and water on my elbow. And so I'd have to say that healing that whole process and, needing to face this new trauma that I didn't even know about, and having all the flashbacks and just going through that process, it took about 7 months to clear. That was definitely the toughest time ever in my life. I have had some really tough times, almost lost my daughter in a cheerleading competition. She's fine, but it was very scary for a while. And having lost my dad at age 24 to cancer, I've been through a lot, but that healing that trauma and releasing all of that out of my body was by far a very, very, very difficult time in my life. And that was about 4 years ago.
Okay. What was the biggest risk you've ever taken?
Ooh, the biggest risk. I would say starting my own business. When my daughter was in her cheerleading competition, I worked for a company that I loved. I won't say the name because I don't love them anymore because they were horrible to me, but she had lacerated her liver and fractured her spine, so she needed a lot of care, and I took myself out on a leave of absence, and they let me go. They fired me for that, and it was very, very difficult, but I decided I don't wanna go back to corporate America. I'm gonna start my own business, and I jumped right in. I knew nothing about business. I had 7 employees at the company that I worked for, so I did know how to manage and work on a management level, but not in terms of starting a company. So I would say that was a really big risk for me, and it paid off. It was, a really rewarding 13 years of having that business. Before I left, I walked away from that business to start the one I'm in now, helping others heal with their allergy and mast cell issues. So that was probably the biggest risk, I'd say, and worth it.
Oh, yes, I should. I bet it was worth it.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Who was the last person you talked to?
The last person I spoke to was my husband. Well, actually, it was another over the phone or over Zoom. It was another podcast interview I was on this morning. Prior to that, it was her name is Genesis. And prior to that, it was my wonderful husband who I was with last night.
Okay, great. So, do you have any pets?
I do not have pets. I am highly allergic to all animals. So in my childhood, I was able to ride horses, and my mom always had dogs come over to the house. And I loved being around animals. And then at age 15, when I became allergic to everything, animals was one of the reactions that I can't be around anything with fur. And so we will be desensitizing myself to that this year. I'm so excited. So I can once again love up all that beautiful animal kingdom that's out there. But right now, I stay very far away from all animals.
Okay, that's nice.
It's a bummer, but it is my reality right now.
Yeah, but you will get there eventually.
Yep, I definitely
So,
will.
oh, yes. How much time do you spend on the internet?
Ooh. So I am learning now that I'm back to work and I spend most of my day on the internet. I have learned to take large breaks. I take walks on the harbor. I do about a 2 hour max, sitting down on the computer and before I get up to walk around and go do something different. But I say it still adds up to probably at least 6 to 7 hours a day that I am on the internet. And it's an adjustment because I've been on this wonderful healing journey where I haven't been on the internet, and I just spend my days in meditation and walking outside and being down at the boat. So I'm readjusting to being on the computer, but it's what you got to do to build a business, right?
Oh, yes, absolutely. What was the last book you've read?
The last book I read is well, I'm in the middle of a book right now called it is oh shoot, why am I drawing a blank on it? It is, let me look it up. My books. I can't believe that I am drawing a blank on it. I obviously haven't read it in just a little while. But the one that I'm just picked up to read is The Body Keeps the Score. And I'm really excited about that one. And I cannot think of the name of the one that I last read. I do a lot of podcasts. I listen to more podcasts than I do reading books because I fall asleep very easily when I'm reading books.
I guess that's understandable.
But The Body
And
Keeps the Score is the one I just bought, and I'm really excited to read it because I've heard that it's my exact story and that it really speaks to what I teach. So I'm excited about that.
oh, yes, absolutely.
Another great book that I read at the very beginning of my healing journey was You Are the Placebo by Dr. Joe Dispenza. That was a life-changing book for me. That's the book that really helped me see that I don't have to be trapped in and be the person that's allergic to the world forever like I had thought I was. So that really opened my eyes to what's possible for me.
Okay, that's cool. That is all we have for this episode. It was great having you here, Cindy, talking about your work as an allergy master wellness coach, your works remotely, your travels, and everything else. That was absolutely amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Peter. Thanks for having me on. It's been great. And I just really appreciate it. You have a beautiful day.
You too. And until next time, stay tuned for more.